What's your fake scenario that will never happen, but I like to imagine it anyway so that I can fall asleep? Quitting my job with no notice. I did that once. It was every bit as great as you imagine it. I had some money saved up and had a small side business I was working on. My regular job totally sucked and was going downhill fast. I was due to work a 4 p.m-12 shift. I was out golfing, and after the first 9 I would have to leave to get ready for work. I started to pack up to leave, but noticed it was a beautiful sunny day, not too hot. I was out having fun with my friends and realized you only get so many of these days in your life. So I picked up my phone, quit my job, lit up a joint, and played 27 more holes of golf instead of going to work. This was in May and I decided to just not work that summer. I had burned through my savings by September, but it was worth it. This was 17 years ago and honestly it was probably the best summer of my life. I regret nothing. Holy fuck, that sounds glorious. I did this right before New Year's. Not exactly out of nowhere, but I was slowly getting tired of some of the shit my boss was pulling. My job wasn't really bad, but when you are somewhere for a long time, it eventually does it to you. Literally registered my company and got an office near my place. Had a little bit of money from working during COVID. Now gonna try out my luck. No more masters. Good luck. What I would do on a deserted island. Like my survival plan. That's my retirement plan. How hard would it be to find a way onto a deserted island that isn't inhabited by many people or ones that wouldn't bother you? I'm assuming the cost of flight/boat rides to these locales might be outrageous, but your idea of a retirement plan really piqued my interest. Sincerely, 38 years old with zero savings and no retirement plan. Well, the Gilligan's Island idea of an uncharted desert island is no longer possible, thanks to Google Earth and GPS. But that doesn't mean all islands are populated. Denmark has like 1,000 islands or more, according to my Danish ex-girlfriend. But do you want to be on an island by yourself during the winter near Denmark? Same is true for Alaska. A ton of islands, but very harsh winters. Nowadays, for a castaway or Gilligan's Island style retirement, you'd have to do your research into finding an island in a good location, with plenty of resources, that no one has laid claim to. I mean, it would suck to shipwreck on a deserted island, build a survival camp, then upgrade to a nice house on the island, go from survival to living, only to bump into J.K. Rowling and have her kick you off her island and then sue you for the damages to her property, trespassing, and the flight home, especially after you're killed and ate your companions for food. In middle school I would imagine that a portal would tear through my classroom and a group of uniformed mythological people would come out and would urgently request me by name and tell me that they really needed me, and then they would whisk me away to some other world where I was their only hope in some ancient war, just so that everyone around me could wonder why I was so important. Over a decade later I'm writing a webcomic about it. Got about 100 pages out. I'm deleting it now so I can redo it, since now I'm a proper adult and not a broody 15-year-old. Edit. You guys are so funny. Thank you so much, and it's so cool so many of us relate. For those of you asking what my webcomic is, I'll let you know a little bit about it. It started off how I described it above, but it's completely changed since then. I'll comment on this comment. I'm surprised a couple thousand of you read this comment, but never googled my username lol, and no, it's not Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Don't get rid of it. Always save a copy to see how much of a dumbass you were. Hahaha, I laughed so hard at this. I just showed everyone who knows how much I'm struggling with this comic, and we're all alike flawed. We always joke about how much of a dumbass I am, since all I do is complain about my comic and not write or draw it. Thanks for the laugh. I'm framing this. I'm keeping a copy of my comic for sure, but it's very problematic, so I do have to remove it from the public eye, but it's staying with me. Dope. I have a box that has some artwork and stuff, just look back at. They are terrible, but still cool to remember. Yes, I do that to almost all of my drawings I could save, to see how much I improved. I time travel to 1973 and try to explain the internet to people. Sometimes I like to think about bringing someone from 1950 or 1960 to today, explaining history, technology, etc. Edit. I really need to specify that I'm talking about time travel from then to now. Or at least Rip Van Winkle style hibernation. Not just old people. Sometimes I imagine setting up a movie theater in the Middle Ages and showing the people of that era Star Wars episodes 1 to 6. In that order? Yes. They won't know any better. Adventures of Space Cowboy continues. You're gonna carry that weight. The real folk blues. Honto no Kanashimi Gashiratadake. I'm chilling in my backyard with my dogs when one of those metal suitcases you see in movies lands hard with a partially shredded parachute. The impact is hard enough to break it open, and rubber-banded stacks of non-sequential circulated $100 bills fly out all over the yard. Easily $2 or $3 million worth. There's a die pack with a GPS but it malfunctioned and didn't go off and isn't transmitting. I gather the money and wait. A day. 2 days. 3 days. A week. Nobody ever comes knocking. I keep my day job. I open another bank account across town. Every payday I pull out several $100s from my original account and deposit several $100s into the account across town from the suitcase money. My income doesn't fluctuate and no large purchases, houses, cars, get reported. So I'm completely under the radar. Eventually I've deposited and saved all the money from the case. I continue the practice with my regular paychecks I've kept in cash. Eventually it's all deposited, at which point I retire and live off the accounts. Autocorrect failure had been resolved. That's a really neat bedtime mental story. What does it mean when you say I continue the practice with my regular paychecks I've kept in cash? Can you LE5 please? I mean, by the time I've got the case money all deposited, the money I've been pulling out from my regular paychecks will be quite a pile. So I'd continue with the regular deposits into the new account. Just with my pay. Oh, of course. Thank you. My brain just stopped processing. I guess. I don't really understand the point of doing it at all. It isn't laundering the money or anything. You start with millions of unlaundered suitcase dollars. After you deposit it all, while pocketing the cash withdrawals from the original account. The cash withdrawals just become the new millions of unlaundered dollars? I imagine things I wish I said. Not like arguments that I win. I'm just kinda introverted, and I don't say a lot of things that would greatly add to a conversation. I used to be like this. But slowly and piece by piece I started to say the things I wanted to and now usually say it all. Start small and learn what works and build on that. Everything can be learned. Same. I've started to slowly do calculated impulse actions, which probably negates the impulse part, but it's still impulsive for me. So I'll say something I've been wanting to say, or random just do the thing I've been wanting to do. But of course, I've run dozens of scenarios confirming that that's the right action to do. Same here. I've also practiced how to laugh out loud or act surprised naturally, because otherwise I'm just a stoic, emotionless person. We live in a society where we have to blend in. Believe it or not, I've done the opposite. I'm always smiling, laugh easily and am very expressive with my face. In the past I envied people that were just so cool who didn't say much unless they needed to or act childish and stuff. They just got the job done and left. I tried that for a while, but in the end I said what the heck, this is who I am, and people seem to be fine with it, so why would I change? Weird thing, but what helps me sleep is imagining that I'm sleeping with a group that's being hunted by insert fantasy creature here. But our party's wizard has created an illusory safety bubble that keeps us warm, comfortable and hidden from our would-be foes. When I was a teenager I would imagine that my bedroom was a spaceship traveling through deep space on autopilot. It had an impenetrable energy shield to keep me safe. This is technically true. Just a compartment on a very large generation ship that got caught in a gravity well. Being cuddled / given affection / comforted and being told nice / reassuring things while I'm feeling shit lol. I'm not the only one starved for affection. Thank God. I've never wanted to hug everyone in a comment chain more than I do right now. I pretend I'm a potato buried underground. It's so dark down there and the weight of the dirt comforts me. Potatoes have no fears. Potatoes have no anxiety. Sweet dreams. Potato. Sweet potato dreams. Sweet potato dreams. Sweet potato dreams. Seeing my grandfather again. I dream about him a lot because he was the best friend I'll ever have and I really fucking miss him. It's been a long time now since he passed away and I'm starting to forget things about him and it hurts my heart so much. Maybe take the time to get a journal and write down every single thing you remember about him. Every little story or detail about him. And whenever you miss him read it. IDK am just a 15-year-old kid, but it was an idea. That's a pretty neat idea. Don't let yourself think that your age will invalidate it. I know kids wiser than some adults. My mum recently gave all the kids and cousins of my grandmother/grandfather a sort of autobiography of her life sprinkled with memories, anecdotes and memories of them. It was beautiful and amazing seeing the progression from horse and buggy to smartphones in their lifetime. My grandfather was involved in some pretty secret shit during WWII to do with radios in the jungles of PNG. Pretty cool. My mum did biography called Memories of a Wartime Child. It's not very long, but as the family genealogist I'm so glad she did this. She is 90 in April. I'm living in an alpine cabin above the snow line. Just me and a dog. Each day I cut firewood. Each night I spend the evening watching the fire and drinking black coffee while the dog snores. I was having such a pleasant time in your fantasy until I thought about trying to fall asleep in the freezing cold after a night of drinking black coffee by the fire. Now, the bedroom's upstairs where the heat collects, and there's an extra thick duvet, and a dog, and it's decaf, but the kind that tastes really good. No shit. I used to envision that there's global epidemic of some kind and the world has gone to shit. Looting and whatnot. The government has collapsed and I have to be super quiet to avoid the upheaval outside. I got like 60% of that for real in 2020 and it wasn't nearly as cool as my daydream. I do something similar, but the epidemic is zombies. Instead of trying to be still in bed I envision how my homestead will be set up and defended. Everybody has had a zombie apocalypse fantasy at some point. Mine manifest in my dreams. I've had a ridiculous amount of zombie survival dreams. The last one involved a secret underground place that was protected by clergymen. Like ninja/special forces fighting priests and nuns. With guns. Yes. Counts as survival as I ran to hide in this place with some other people and was surprised to find the badass clergyman fighting the zombies chasing us. Lol. Close bracket. Zombie apocalypse dreams are the best. Finding my soulmate and falling in love. Same. But he's also from New Zealand and will take me to the promised land. I'm not a he, but I do live in New Zealand. Can I take you to the promised land instead? It would be nice to have a friend. You mean literal paradise right now? Are you taking applications for a best friend by any chance? Is this the queue to be adopted into New Zealand? I like to imagine being in a cave in a blizzard, cozy in the cave, while the whipping winds of my ceiling fan circulate oxygen in my blanket den. I imagine that I'm a homeless guy, trying to sleep on a park bench. It's freezing cold, and I only have a ragged dirty old suit on. I struggle trying to cover my body with newspapers and cardboard to keep warm. Then a kind person delivers me from this freezing hell, and places me in my warm bed, where I'm currently, all snuggly. Oh man. This is so effective to make you grateful and comfortable for what you have. I'm rich and I don't need to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. Sadly my body wakes me up street that time anyway, even on weekends. That's great, though. You have a set schedule. Yeah. It might suck to always have to go to bed at 10:30, but you don't have to worry about sleeping through your alarm. You can have morning stretch routine or something. I have tried to get my body on schedule like that and it only ever works for a few weeks or months before I lose the ability to sleep on time or start sleeping through my alarm. I'm suddenly filthy rich and can finally support my family. I'd buy us a house and good health food. If we needed something I could get it. If something broke I could get it fixed. I could donate to charities and support groups. Sometime I also imagine in this world that calories don't count, so I don't have to keep dieting. A life where I have a GF and we are living together and doing silly things with each other and making jokes, or going to a park or zoo and having conversations with each other. One day. Right. Edit. OMG, thank you all so much for the encouragement and love. I didn't expect to see all this when I woke up. It truly means a lot. Same. I miss falling asleep holding someone, or just talking nonsense, or playing silly games with. It's tough because it's impossible to predict when I'll have it again. You just keep on going about your life, and then one day you meet them. God, this is all I want. It seems so reasonable, but feels impossible to obtain. One day, my friend. Me in a Britney Spears music video. Oops, you've done it again. I imagine I finally have a boyfriend, or better yet, husband, and we are cuddling. I wonder why I had to scroll so far to find imaginary cuddling. I thought everyone did that. I'm a 27-year-old dude, and I sleep with a stuffed animal. It makes the imaginary cuddling feel a lot more real, and it prevents my anxious/depressing thoughts from keeping me awake. I'm 35-year-old chick and cuddle my giant stuffed Cthulhu for the same reason. Plus, my boyfriend is basically long distance and it's hard to sleep alone. But Cthulhu keeps me company. If you are new to TattleTale TV, please subscribe. We have new videos every day. Stay tuned for more coming up next.